We're just about ready to get started here, everyone. We have a special surprise to start, but just before we do, I will mention that Graham and Wanda, we have copies of their book available for purchase after the event. They will hand inscribe those for you. We do have some lovely African and Caribbean food for you after the event to the side there. So, good afternoon, everyone. We have a special surprise to start and to close today's event. Here to announce it is Dr. Marcia Ostaszewski, Canada Research Chair in Communities and Cultures and Associate Professor in Ethnomusicology at Cape Breton University, whose Center for Sound Communities is providing the live streaming and recording for today's event. Dr. Ostaszewski.
Thanks, Sean. Just going to lower the mic a bit. It's my great pleasure today to introduce to you a good friend and an extraordinary musician. His name is Lassana Diabaté. In a minute, I'll read an introduction, but first I need to acknowledge that Lassana is here as part of a research creation and public outreach project called Global Music's Local Connections, and you can read more about that on globalmusics.ca. You can also read about Lassana's visit and all of the different events that are going to be happening with Lassana in our community, in our new studio at the Center for Sound Communities between today and next Tuesday night at the Public Library downtown. So if you see these posters around, that's what these, sorry about that. That's what these posters are about. So I'll leave them here, and you're welcome to have a look later. Lassana Diabaté began playing balafon at the age of 5 at home in Conakry with his father, Jelisori Diabaté, a master balafon player from Kindia, some 150 kilometers inland. Lassana later apprenticed himself to celebrated balafon masters such as the late El Haj Jelisori Kouyaté, also from Kindia, as well as the late Alkali Kamara, for those who are familiar with this genre. To this day, Lassana cherishes the now rare recordings of his mentors, whose unique styles continue to inspire and inform his own methods. Lassana settled in Mali in the late 1980s after being invited to join the band of the diva Ami Koita. He has since recorded with many of Mali's top artists, such as Toumani Diabaté, Salif Keita, Baba Nikone, Tiken Jafakoli, and Basekou Kouyaté. He has collaborated with Taj Mahal and participated in Bella Fleck's Grammy-winning Throw Down Your Heart project. He is also a member of the Grammy-nominated Mali-Cuba collaboration Afro-Cubism. Lassana has collaborated with several world-class artists, including American bluesman Taj Mahal and jazz singer Didi Bridgewater. As part of the trio Dakali, Lassana has collaborated with the world-renowned Kronos Quartet. And last year, Lassana was commissioned by the Kronos Quartet to compose a new piece for their Education Legacy Collection, 50 for the Future. As a 50 for the Future composer, Lassana was in New York City earlier this month. He performed with Kronos Quartet at Carnegie Hall on February 11th. Canada's Tanya Tagaq, another 50 for the Future composer, was also part of that program. Lassana will be in Cape Breton with us until next Tuesday, leading intercultural music workshops and performances with youth and adults alike from different musical traditions. And finally, he's going to present the first film in our Global Music's Local Connections Film Festival, which will screen 5 films over the next month. As I said, you can learn more about that film festival on the project website, globalmusics.ca. We invite you to join us for as many events as possible while Lassana is here, including one on Friday evening. That's this. Wayne Hamilton of the African Nova Scotian Council is going to be with us, and his son, and Michael Ardeni. They're going to be doing some musicking all together in the new Center for Sound Communities studio. And I believe also Sean has arranged some hospitality for that event as well. You can find more details about that event also on soundcommunities.org. That's the Research Labs site. Without further ado, please join me in warmly welcoming Lassana Diabaté.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you very much, Lasna, for honoring us with that performance. We'll look forward to hearing you again at the end today. Okay, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, honored guests, Mrs. Wanda Robson and Dr. Graham Reynolds. My name is Sean Bethke, and I'm the Dean of the Library and Multicultural Learning here at CBU. I would like to welcome you all to Cape Breton University and the Cape Breton University Library. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize that Cape Breton University is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Thank you very much. CBU Library is privileged to host Ms. Wanda Robson and Dr. Graham Reynolds today to reflect on the life and legacy of civil rights pioneer Viola Desmond. As you may have heard, Viola Desmond will be honored next year as the first Canadian woman to be featured on Canadian currency. We have a little mock-up here of what the bill might look like. Her likeness will appear on the $10 bill starting, sorry. I'm not a Mac guy. You'll have to help me out there, Chris.
What are you looking to do here? Pull this back
Just
up.
re-maximize it, yeah.
There you go.
Great. Thank you very much. Her likeness will appear on the $10 bill starting in 2018. Wanda is here today with Dr. Reynolds to help tell the story of her sister, but she is also here to tell her story. History, it is often noted, is the history of the survivor. It is Wanda Robson's voice that tells the story of Viola Desmond. There are likely not many people alive today who remember Viola personally, as she passed in 1965. But Wanda has kept the story alive. From receiving a pardon from the Nova Scotia government, to getting her degree at Cape Breton University, to writing the book Viola Desmond's Canada with Dr. Graham Reynolds, to recently flying to Ottawa to honor her sister's face being put on the $10 bill, the voice, the will, the strength to carry on has always been Wanda's. Since the announcement, I've often thought that perhaps the likeness on the $10 bill should be this one of Viola and Wanda together. Sisters, inseparable. Viola's face will appear on the $10 bill, but surely Wanda Robson's blood, sweat, and tears will be in the ink. I am thrilled to present to you Dr. Graham Reynolds and Ms. Wanda Robson in the only other place she calls home, CBU Library. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. You know, this is really nice to be home again. And of course, I'm here all the time, but as far as the Viola Desmond story is concerned, it really has taken a marvelous journey that began at CBU and is now kind of expanded certainly beyond the island to Ottawa and to all of Canada. And in fact, we're resonating throughout North America and even beyond. It's a remarkable story, and I think it's maybe timely that just to, for a moment, reflect on where we've come from and where we are at this moment. I want to read just a portion of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's comment that he issued on behalf of Black History Month. And I think you get the gist of this. Justin Trudeau states that every February, Canadians celebrate Black History Month by acknowledging the remarkable achievements and contributions that Canadians of African and Caribbean descent have made to Canada. I urge all Canadians to reflect on the bravery and courage of individuals like Viola Desmond, a prominent Black businesswoman who changed the course of Canadian history by defiantly refusing to leave a whites-only area of a movie theater in 1946. In recognition of her impact on the civil rights and freedoms movement in Canada, the Government of Canada chose Viola Desmond as the face of Canada's $10 banknote. That's a portion of of Justin Trudeau's comment. And when we think about it, reflect back a few years, going back maybe just 10 years, even 5 years, it would be almost unimaginable that we could conceive that this would be what we were talking about in 2017. And as a historian, I think it's really, it's fascinating to reflect on how history changes and how we, as a nation, develop a sense of historical consciousness. And it takes, obviously it takes the right kind of configuration of events and times. Things happen because it's right that they do happen. But it also takes the will and desire for change. And I think that what we're experiencing with Viola Desmond is very much the fulfilling of that sense of will and desire. And we think, for example, of just the events that have transpired in the last 10 years. In 2010, the province of Nova Scotia issued a mercy-free pardon to Viola Desmond, which was a rare, almost unprecedented form of pardon, which does not give forgiveness for a wrong that was done. It really says that there was a wrong to be corrected, and it wasn't Viola Desmond, it was the government. And it's without mercy, it's a pardon. And that, I think, says a great deal about the effort that was put into raising historical and public awareness in relationship to the events surrounding the Viola Desmond incident in 1946. And I think we have Wanda Robson to thank for a large portion of that, that she came to Cape Breton University as a senior citizen in the year 2000 at the age of 73, and just so happened that she came into my class teaching a course. I was teaching at the time a course in race relations, and Wanda had been away from university for nearly half a century, and she had raised her children. She had fulfilled her dream of having children and raising them, and she decided that a dream that she began as a young woman when she started her university, 20 years old. So she decided that she would fulfill that dream and complete a Bachelor of Arts degree at Cape Breton University. And I was fortunate to have her as a student, and almost immediately we connected. And I discovered, of course, that she was the youngest sister of Viola Desmond. Her story. So for me, it was a bonanza that I had a person that had this kind of connection. And of course, Wanda was a dream student. She excelled in every respect, even though she and the fact that you're never too old to return to university and to fulfill the dreams and the aspirations that you have all your life. That you're never stigmatized at a university because of your age. So she was there, and she simply completed her Bachelor of Arts degree, and immediately set about to engage in a process of public education, raising awareness. She attended classes. She went to elementary schools, high schools. She was a frequent attender to my class, raising discussions, talking with my students, and gave a number of media talks as well. She's well known, of course, locally on radio and television, and she also published her book, Sister to Courage, Stories from the World of Viola Desmond, Canada's Rosa Parks, in 2010. And of course, it was that year that the government of Nova Scotia issued its free pardon. In a very short time after that, in 2012, the Canada Post issued a commemorative stamp on behalf of Viola Desmond, and now the story was reaching out beyond Nova Scotia. And the Museum of Human Rights in Winnipeg opened in 2014, and they have a permanent display honoring, memorializing Viola Desmond and the Roseland Theatre incident as a permanent display symbolizing a uniquely Canadian story of courage. So the process was really remarkable. The amount of energy and in the manner in which her story was resonating throughout Canada. And in November of this year, I got a call from the Bank of Canada that they were considering Viola Desmond for the newly designed $10 banknote, and I was completely, of course, surprised and overwhelmed by that possibility. And of course, she made it through a pretty stiff competition. There were 400 competitors, nominees that were made for women of distinction in Canada, and she made it down to the list of 12, and then down to the list of 5, and she got it. I was in Ottawa with Wanda, and the announcement that was made, Morneau picture of Viola Desmond that will appear on the $10 note, that when Wanda spoke, there was absolute, total, undivided attention, and when she was done, there wasn't a dry eye in the entire room. She was really she was in a story that's not Viola Desmond, of course, and the fact that she does symbolize, in I think a worthy way, the struggle for human rights and racial equality in Canada. And she represents a generation, really, of civil rights leaders that we often just don't mention. So she is, I think, a worthy symbol of the struggle for human rights in Canada. But she's also remarkable in the sense that she was a distinguished businesswoman, a pioneer, African-Canadian businesswoman that really worked against the odds in the 1940s, because if you were black in Canada in the 1940s, you didn't really have a lot of opportunities. Most black women worked as domestics. If there wasn't the opportunity to become a professional, the opportunities for teaching were very limited. Viola wanted at first to be a teacher, but she was only able to teach in racially segregated schools in Halifax. If you wanted to be a nurse in 1940, forget it. If you were black, you could not train and become a nurse in Canada until 1948. That was the first time that two nurse candidates were accepted at the Halifax Children's Hospital, thanks to the pioneering efforts of Pearline Oliver, who worked tirelessly for women and for equal rights in Canada, a friend, an associate of Viola Desmond's. And that opportunity for being nursing, again, available for Viola. So she decided she would go into she tried to attend the School of Beauty Culture in Halifax and was denied. So she had to go to the Field School of Beauty Culture in Montreal and became herself a promoter. She fashioned her business on the success of Madam C.J. Walker, the well-known American beautician who became a philanthropist and the first multi-millionaire black businesswoman in the United States. And Viola was deeply inspired by Madam C.J. Walker, and she developed the same kind of products. She developed her own line of beauty aids. She went to the Apex, the very famous Apex School of Beauty Culture in the United States, to train to become a wig maker. And so she not only did she sell these products and promote the products, she also started the Desmond School of Beauty Culture, and for a succession of classes, she had a tremendous impact, who were aspiring to become independent for all time, encouraged to become, again, independent and successful. So I think that there's much to celebrate, and I think that for us at CBU, we feel a sense of real connection to this story. Not only, again, because of the Viola Desmond portion, but because of Wanda Robson and the fact that we, as an institution, are really promoting the ideals of education, the ideals of self-fulfillment, all the right kinds of things. And it is really an honor to be part of this. You know, I didn't plan this out. I didn't, you know, the Viola Desmond story. I happened to be into my class, and we, over the last number, inspired each other. That tells the story of not only Viola, it tries to place into context the history of blacks. Wanda and I take on another task as well and write the biography of Viola Desmond, of the life and times, if you will, that I hope will be out in the next few years. We'll wait and see how the research goes. But I think it's just a tremendous honor to be here, and I would like to introduce my cohort and my former student and good friend, Wanda, who has, I think, a lot to reflect upon as well in terms of her journey that she was taken late in life, but it's never too late in terms of the ideals of education. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Wanda Robson. Wanda, do you want to come up and just sit there? Can we get a microphone and have her sit instead of have to stand? Okay. So Wanda will come up and speak for a bit, and I'm hoping that there'll be some questions and we can have a little interaction with the audience.
I'm coming.
She's coming.
Wait a while. Oh, now, wait a while. Okay? That's fine. I feel like singing. You don't want me. Oh. Amazing journey or trip that anybody could have had. I can't believe that it has evolved the way it has. About Viola, I remember working with Viola. I didn't do hair. I don't even touch my own. I can't be bothered. Ugh. But I used to be the girl in the back of the store who would weigh the products, Viola's products. She would buy powder. And now how that came about was that one day one of our customers said, "Mrs. Desmond, I go everywhere. I go to CBU's, I go to Eaton's, and 5 and 10, Woolworths. I can't find any cosmetics, any powder, anything that is suitable for a dark complexion." Viola thought for a minute, and the light bulb went off, and she thought to herself, "Oh, I can fix that." Now, she didn't order black products from the States. What she did was take time off and took a cosmetology course. This was the way Viola thought. You don't just buy things and then resell them, which is okay, you make a profit. But her life all the time. So she bought bags of powder, all different colors. And I said, she'd never get across the border today. Powder in bags, whoa. But she came in the back of the store and she said, "Now, I'm going to make some powder, a powder. Well, how do you do?" She said, "You come back later on and I'll have it all fixed." What she did was just took all the powder and she mixed until she got the color she wanted, her own color, her own name was sepia for her product. She did that with eyeshadow, and she did it with the lipstick thing, and she that you got the right amount as it said on the box. sometimes she was a stickler, and sometimes she was a pain. I was her sister, you know. But she was one remarkable woman. Eh, she bought the products that she made. There's a gel she made. There was a product. Well, she took a course. As I said, she took another course, sort of a science course, so she could mix them in the right container. Uh, so one day she said, "This is how it all started." She decided she was getting orders on the phone and by mail for her products, sepia. Mrs. Desmond, I'd like 2 boxes of number 9 color, and I would like a. She had all these orders, and she said, "Show on the road. I'll go and deliver all my customers to all the things they ordered, and then I will be selling at the same time." So she left the shop in the care of my mom, and she had a girl Friday, and off she went. And that's when the incident happened. You know, I've been asked so many times when Viola was found guilty of you know the trip, you know about the trip and the movie. But when she was found guilty in the court in New Glasgow of defrauding the provincial government, of the difference between the price from the upstairs ticket to the downstairs ticket, which was a big sum of 1 cent, she decided that she would pay the fine. There was a fine of $20 and $6 cost, or 30 days in jail. She said, "Oh, I wanted to take those 30 days. I wanted to prove that this is wrong. I did nothing wrong." But she said, she said that to me later on. She got in her car, turned the car toward home. So many people have asked me, why do you think that she would go home? I mean, she had been 12 hours in jail. She lost a lot of time and money by being there, but she could have delivered some orders from New Glasgow back to Halifax again. Why do you think that she just drove home? I've been asked that, and I never asked Viola, but I would think that she was 32 years old, a businesswoman, but she was still a woman, a personality who had been humiliated. She was angry. Nobody would listen to her. And I always say to people, where do you want to go? No matter how old you are. When you want someone to listen to you, when you want to share something, where do you go? You go home. And that's where she went. She just drove straight home. Didn't deliver any parcels or anything. She was living in the car, and, well, we don't have a car. We didn't have a car. But he was all for getting on a bus or whatever and getting up to New Glasgow. I don't know what he was going to do, but he was angry. He was a father. And his child had been assaulted. Next day she was bruised, all her arms and her legs, and he knew she was distraught, because this is one of the few times that tears came into Viola's eyes. She was not a crier. But my mom very calmly said, "You don't fight, you don't do it this way." So Dad advised her to go to the doctor. She went to our family doctor. He advised her to get a lawyer to see. And so she did, and as you know, she took it to the Supreme Court. She failed again. And she was asked by the Nova Scotia Association for the Advancement of Colored People. She was asked to be to be their spokesperson, to sort of go on the road and take her story, and they would back her up. Something like Rosa Parks did 9 years later. Viola went to Dad and said, "What do you think I should do?" She said, they seem like they need me. And he said, "What do you want to do? It's up to you." Well, she said, she said, "Dad, I'm in my finishing up, I've got 6 months more of this class." She was teaching of beauty. And I'd like to complete that. I wouldn't be able to complete that if I was on the road. And I do want, there's so many things I want to do, so many things I want to accomplish I haven't done yet. He said, "Well, you've answered." When it started, I'll go back to that. Viola came home, and there was this incident I just told you happened. There was a little blurb in the paper, Halifax paper, next day about the incident at the theater. I was working, I just started work as a lab technician, and when I went to work, people said, "Was that your sister that did? Was that your sister?" And I am ashamed and embarrassed to tell you that I put my head down and said, "Yes, yes, yes." And I didn't want to talk about it. All I could think about was that my sister, my sister went to jail. Jail. What did she do? If you go to jail, you do something wrong. That's what I thought. I was 19, kind of an idiot. Well, a young, my thoughts weren't in saving the world or doing anything. My thoughts were what was going on that weekend, maybe a dance. I was going to get a new dress, or get my hair fixed, and what boy was going to look at me. I was 19. And a young 19. So maybe you can excuse me because for feeling that way. But I am ashamed that I did not see the significance of what she had done. And I married, never told them about that. My first set of children. I was married twice. I have 3 sons from my first marriage. I never told them. Then I divorced and I remarried, had 2 more children. They didn't know. I had to come. You see, this is where education comes in. I had to come and have somebody else, Dr. Reynolds, tell me what was wrong with that incident. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't get the seat of it, the racist act. Yes, it made me angry. People say to me, "Well, what would you have done?" Well, I'd have been angry, but if he told me to go, I'd go head down, I'd go and never come back. Well, I don't think we'll get very far with people like me at that time. If you have a cause, don't call me. At that time, because I was thinking of me. And kids and my children, you have to excuse me, when raising a children is a full-time job, you know that. But my mom always said, education, education, education. It's who you are, what you are, where you're going to go without it, what are you going to do without it. And she said, and I don't actually mean education in the university. That's one phase. In colleges, in trades. See, just educate yourself in the area that you like, you have a passion for. Even if you don't like it, make it a stepping stone. I'm doing this job. I don't like it, but I'm keeping my eyes open. And I'm learning more about what I really want to do. This is what I tell the children, the children that I speak to. And I I jump around when I speak, so because I don't read anything, so you'll forgive me. But since I started university, I am so proud because I always wanted to go. And being the 15 children, I mean, nobody went to university, nobody in our family until they grew up. No, I guess I was the first one, or second one. Emily did. My sister Emily went to university. My sister Emily is now 103. I thought I'd throw that in. She's wonderful. But all that interest in speaking and teaching, Joe saw it first. My husband saw it first. He said, "You always wanted to go to university. Why did you go? Why did you?" On orders, I'm getting to the children now. This is where it's at. The children. I think that if anything is going to happen, something happened with Viola, wonderful thing. But if anything, if people are going to remember, yes. If people are going to do something about it, if they're that type of person, I want to talk to them too, because it's like carrying a torch. See, so when I speak to the children, I realize what grades they are, and talk to them. I've never gotten such rapt attention. When I was in Ryerson University, one of the teachers there said, I went to his son's school, and the whole school was there. The children were from, well, grade 1, or they were in preschool. They were grades 1 right up to high school. Those little ones sat there, here, 2, 3 rows here, and then all were speaking to children. I speak about Viola. That's what I do, Viola. But then I bring them into it. I try to. And we have a good opportunity now with immigrants and children of all colors and sizes and shapes and not speaking English. You know, I've ventured little. I know their teachers have, and I hope their parents have talked to them about racism, because their environment is most important. Their environment, their home environment, and that's where it should begin. The knowledge of some children don't recognize. You know, there were where was I? Can't tell you because I don't remember. I'm 90, so I have to cut me some slack here. But I went to this school. I think it was at the pier, and I was speaking to them just like, you know, about Viola and about racism and children. And I looked, when I finished, I had a display of things, and I looked over, and there were 2 girls there. And one had their arm around each shoulder like that, and looking at the pictures. And one arm was brown, and the other arm was white. And I thought, now that's it. So that's what it is. They were friends. So I went up and asked them. I said, "You girls," I thought the world could learn something like that. I used to have a brownie group, and they were on a sleepover, and I was telling them a story, and I asked one girl, what do you think? What do you think about my sister's story? And she said, she was only about 9, she said, "It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair." I say, out of the mouths of babes, you know, a simple statement. It certainly was not fair. It was deeper than that, but she was 9. And she could see it wasn't fair. I am most amazed and so, and I'm happy, and I think we're getting there. What do you think, Graham?
I think we're getting there.
I think it's slow. It's a slow progress, because when you get people like Trump, or people, we won't go into that, but people that have deep-seated racism, that deep-seated prejudice that they probably don't even recognize. Oh, I'm not. I have prejudice in myself. And this is another thing about education, my education. I've learned things about myself. Oh, things that I thought, wow, I don't like him, I don't like this one or that. You know, you have to search yourself. Say, I'm not prejudiced. I don't do this, I don't do that. But are you signaling to me? Yes. My husband signals to me, and I'm sorry I went on and on. But I want to tell you, my husband does this. I don't know whether he wants to cut off my head or not. But you know, what I want to say is that I told my granddaughter, she was with me in Ottawa, about the bill. She heard about the bill, and she said, Nana, you know what she said? When my first $10 bill with Aunt Viola on it, I'm not going to spend it, I'm going to frame it. But with that, I'm going to tell you that between the pardon, the ferry, the bill itself, the museum in Winnipeg, I'm speechless. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I never thought my journey would have gone to this with Viola. And I don't read anything, so I apologize for jumping around, but that's what I do when I speak. I jump around. But I hope you got something from it, because I feel as if I could go do something right now. and I could hardly walk. No, you think I'm kidding. I feel as I want to do something, make a change. But
Well, right
I
away.
have. Thank you.
Well, right away, we might be all up with some music. But right
Yeah.
now, we have a few minutes for questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll bring you the microphone so that people who are joining us across the
You'll have to-
live stream can also
Well-
hear you.
You'll have to relay the question to me, because I can't think of it.
Hello, my name is Chantel. I just have a question around, what do you think that we could do better in Cape Breton or as a province of Nova Scotia to bring more significance to Heritage Day, as a lot of people recognize it as Family Day, which it is in other parts of or other provinces?
No, some of it. What do I think about
For either Wanda or Dr. Reynolds. What could we do to celebrate Heritage Day in Nova Scotia as Heritage Day better? Because in other parts of the country, it's known as Family Day, right? But how can we better celebrate it as Heritage Day in Nova Scotia, do you think?
Well, you know, that's a question I'd have to think about. There's so many things. Graham, would you help me out here on that? Because
I can offer my opinion, and then we'll
We'll
maybe get
discuss it.
something
Yeah,
from you.
yeah.
But I think, you know, a couple of things I would say is that this day came about initially
Yes.
through the act of the Nova Scotia government, and they were attempting to try to acknowledge the importance of key historical figures in Nova Scotia history. And they also wanted to recognize Viola Desmond. That was one of the first, he was the first, of course, on the 15th of February 2015. A lot of people were really hoping that the government would single out Viola Desmond as being the person that really should be focused on, as being the fact that it was Black History Month as well. And I certainly supported that, and some of us, including Wanda, made efforts to try to persuade the government to keep the Viola Desmond Day. Since that happened, I'm not so much concerned about the Viola Desmond Day in Nova Scotia. I think that Heritage Day is a good idea. I think that we should have the whole idea of heritage as being something that we celebrate on one day, but we should celebrate it every day. And I think it should be a continuous effort within the context of development of curriculum materials for the schools, that we continuously remind students and ourselves that we are a multicultural nation, and the particular day is a wonderful opportunity.
Heritage Day, it's a wonderful thing, but I don't think that we should celebrate the Black History Month a month. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me because, okay, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Everything is Black History. Everybody's reading about this, and there's nothing wrong with that. Educate yourself about people and their backgrounds, but 1 month and then March comes, you don't see or hear anything more about it, and I think it would be more effective if we just did center or concentrate on 1 month as Black History Month. I mean, that's my opinion, but they're not going to do anything about that. But that's what I think. I don't know what you think, but yeah, because it's nice to. I was reading in the paper today about the Willises in Truro. And I knew them, I knew of their background, but I didn't know as far back as it was. It was wonderful to get that history lesson. And there's something in the paper every day in February. And then we're lost. Where are we? There's no more. But maybe I'll work on that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy. It's for Dr. Reynolds or Wanda. I'm just wondering if you could sum up Viola and your own experience in one word or phrase, what would it be?
No, I didn't.
Sorry, if you could
But
sum
no.
up it's for Graham or Wanda. If you could sum up Viola or your experience in one word or phrase, what would it be? In terms of like the historical legacy or significance.
Well, I think it's hard to put, to condense
Yeah.
such a lesson into one word.
Yeah.
I think that there's several words that come to my mind. I think that courage is certainly maybe it's an all-encompassing word, but it does capture elements that I think are very significant that I would attribute to the legacy of Viola Desmond, and that's something which is something we all need to think about ourselves. Would we have done the same thing in that particular moment of injustice? And that's what, for me, makes her special, is that she stood up and she said, no, I'm not going to accept this. Most people, in fact, those that reacted after that event, even in the Black community, said, you know, why did you do this?
Yes.
You know, you created such a stir. And things were just fine before you did this.
Before you came, yeah.
So I think that we are lulled into complacency in life, and I think that we need to have that inspiration and constant sense of guide that we should rise to the occasion when we are faced with injustice. So I'd say courage would be the one word that I'd use.
Let's see.
Did you have anything to add?
No, he said, but I agree, yes, right, yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, yes, it's, well,
We have another question.
yeah.
Actually, it's not a question. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you and Viola for what she did for us.
Oh,
That's big. That's big.
thank you.
That's
You
big.
know, there are so many people that have helped me without being, they're in the background, and I don't know who they are, and I know some of them, but I don't know who you are. And so many people voted for Viola. I say, I don't know who you are, I thank you. You've made it happen. And oh, you know, all of a sudden I thought of my mom and dad, would they be proud? Yeah, and it's just remarkable what has happened.
I think too, if I may, we're also saying thank you because you are part of inspiring this and you made this happen.
Well, I thank you. Look, I'm not modest. I'm multi. My family would say, oh God, there she goes again. But you know, sometimes I didn't know what I was doing. I knew why I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing because it's just sort of, as I said before, it evolved, and it started. It started with education. I had to be educated to meet and fight in any way I could. Racism. I had to be educated. You know, let me tell you one thing. I was in Sydney. I was living in Halifax, and I came to Sydney to visit Joe's parents and Joe, and I stayed overnight in a motel on Kings Road, and I got up next day and went down waiting for the bus. I was an hour early, so yeah, I'm there with the paper. I love my paper, and I love my breakfast. Too many, but I love them. But I'm there, comes over, and I'm lost. She backed up. I went back into the doorway, and the manager came out and speaking to her, and she nodded her head and took off her apron and ran out the door. And I said, oh, now here's how stupid I am. Unknowing, perhaps, naive, I don't know. I thought, oh, she must have got up on the wrong side of the bed. She had an argument with her boss. I'm still reading, and I'm waiting, and never had much chance just to relax and work and that. So I'm there, and he came over. The man was almost on his knees. I thought, what's wrong with him? And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. And you've been waiting so long. And I'll take your order. I said, okay, I don't care. And I still didn't get it. And I went back to the paper. So bus came, I got on the bus, went back to home, Halifax, went to work next day. Said to my boss, I said, you know, a funny thing happened to me. This happened yesterday, and I was waiting for the bus, and I told him what had happened. And you know what he said to me? He said, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I said, oh, my God, the woman didn't want to wait on me. I said, how stupid could I be? And then I said, well, more for her, I didn't get it. But I get it now. It's so ridiculous to sit there and be insulted and not know it. I have educated myself. And it's not that I go around with my hand on my hip thinking, oh, what's that supposed to mean? I don't do that. I have a life to live. I mean, it's almost over, but I mean, I've had a great life, great kids, good husband. I mean, so I don't go around looking for insults. If they come, and I know it's an insult, I'm not going to take it. I would have not now. Viola could insult anybody in the most polite way. I've seen her do it. I've seen her do it when she had to, when she visited me in the States. Several incidents that she helped me out. And she said, you've got to learn. She said, you've got to learn to live your life. You've got to be an example for your children. And I wasn't then, but I hope I am now.
Thank you.
Okay.
This may be a good time to move to our next segment to celebrate Viola Desmond's legacy and your contributions as well, with a bit more music.
Oh, good.
Would you like to help her to sit back in a chair where she can enjoy from an audience? And I'll just tell you a few minutes a little bit about Lassana's connection with African. So I mentioned earlier the film festival, and the first one's going to be the Sunjata story, a film that we made here in the Boardmore Theatre as part of a research project, an arts-based research project. And Lassana is a featured performer in that film. And that film was a collaboration with the UNIA in Glace Bay. There are a few more events that are happening this week. As I mentioned, we hope you'll come and meet with Lassana. See him again if you met him last time, and meet him for the first time if this is the first opportunity. So tomorrow, kind of riffing on Wanda's idea about education and children, one of the most powerful activities is going to be happening tomorrow morning in the studio. Some children and youth from the local French community here who attend the school are going to be coming to participate in a physical and dance theater workshop with Lassana. So that's going to be something special for youth in Cape Breton to be learning more about African musical heritage while making it with him, making that music with him. And if you're a music educator, teacher in the school system or not, if you're a music educator and you'd like to learn more skills to teach children about African music and musical heritage, please come to the Center for Sound Communities at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We're having a workshop for music educators. And on Friday, Sean, in conjunction with all of the events for African Heritage Month, is collaborating with us to present this evening, celebrating African musical traditions through intercultural music making, happening also at the Center for Sound Communities at 5 p.m. That's Friday at 5 p.m. There will be a house concert on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., and that's going to be in the Ashby area. And the last event is, of course, the first film in our series. So you can learn more about that by going to soundcommunities.org or globalmusics.ca. So please join me once more in welcoming Lasna for his final performance today.
see. Thank you very much again, Lassana, for your amazing performance, for honoring us here at CBU. Thank you. Thank you again to Dr. Ostashevsky. We certainly want to thank Dr. Graham Reynolds and Ms. Wanda Robson. We do have some lovely African and Caribbean food over here on your left for you after the event. We thank you all for coming to CBU Library. Wanda, you're always welcome in your second home anytime. Thank you very much, everyone. Wanda and Graham have books available for purchase, and they will inscribe them for you if you're interested. Thank you very much.